What's up, everybody? It's Keisha here at Kitchen Bravo, and tonight we are making authentic, rusted, true pasta. That's right, homemade pasta from scratch. Look at this. Look at that. It's the best. It's the easiest. Once you've had fresh, you're never gonna go back. Stick around. This is how we do it. It's pasta day. It's pasta day. Okay, we are going to roll out some fresh dough today. We're going to make our own fresh pasta to go into a shrimp dish later on. I'm going to show you how to make a very basic pasta dough that you can use to roll out for lasagna, for spaghetti, for fettuccine, for whatever you want, okay? It all starts with 2 cups of flour. So on my flour here, I'm going to make a really big well with my hands just right here on my countertop, just like this. Make a huge well in the very center of it. And don't worry about it. We're gonna make a mess, but it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be so great. So in this well, I'm going to add 3 whole eggs and 1 egg yolk. Just pour it right in there, just like that. And kind of build up the walls around the well just a tiny little bit. I'm also gonna put in about a tablespoon of olive oil. I'm gonna eyeball it here. That looks about right. And on standby, I have half a cup of water because sometimes we might need a little extra water to go ahead and help bind all the flour together. Now, inside my well, I'm just going to start whisking my eggs, like just kind of scrambling them a little bit. And you can use your other hand to make sure that the walls of the well don't exactly fall over and you have egg all over your countertop. So once all of my eggs and olive oil have mixed in like this, I'm going to start dragging a little bit of flour from the interior walls of the well into my egg mixture just like this. I'm going around in a circle and just pulling in a little bit of flour. There we go. And you can cheat a little bit and kind of like push it in. No problem. Once you have fresh pasta, it's going to be really, really hard to go back to store-bought package, especially after you see how easy it is to make. I mean, this is really something, and it takes no time. It boils in like 2 or 3 minutes. It takes about 15 minutes to make it. So in the time that you would be boiling the water and getting your pasta together, you know, out of the package and into the water, it's about the same amount of time, but this is a far superior product. This tastes so much better. So you can see the pasta, it's looking a little bit dry, and that's fine. That's why I have the water here on standby. So it just takes a little bit of water. So I put just a few drops. Oh, that was about 2 teaspoons worth of water, just right there on the counter. And all of the flour just will grab it up, and as you're kneading it, it'll just pull it all in together. Okay, another tip that you can do in order to get a little extra moisture in here to get your dough a little wetter to pick up more flour is just pour a little bit of water in your hand. Rub it together, and that gets the dough wet enough to pick up whatever's left. But what I need to do in order to soften up the glutens in the pasta and get really tender and flavorful pasta is just to knead it for about 5 minutes. And that way it's gonna go ahead and really make sure that the eggs and the flour and the oil have really, really gotten to know each other really well in the batter. All right, so after about 5 minutes of kneading, I have this really beautiful soft dough that's even much more pliable, see, than it was before. Now, I didn't add any more water. It's just by working the dough and getting everything really, really well mixed that it just becomes really pliable and soft and kind of fun. So what I'm gonna do is shape it into a disc, and I need to let this rest for about 15 minutes. So I'm gonna wrap it up in a little bit of saran wrap. So I'm gonna go in here. Woo! I didn't want to release from the button. Go into the pantry, get a piece of plastic wrap, and just wrap the dough like this. All right. Now I'm going to let it sit on my counter for about 15 minutes. That way the glutens relax and the dough becomes much more pliable and friendly to work with. Just watch. It's super easy. Then comes the fun part. 15 minutes later, here we are. Look at this beautiful little ball of dough that we're going to turn into strands of spaghetti suppleness. This is awesome. So this is softened up quite a bit. It's much more pliable. So now I'm gonna open it up. Open it even. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna open it up. And I'm going to lightly dust a cutting board right here. I have a cup of flour, and I'm just gonna use this to dust my work area, my workstation, and my machine. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on my cutting board and divide it into 4 pieces. It just makes it easier to work with that way. Here we go. Beautiful. All right. So I'm going to work with 1 piece at a time. And I'm just going to throw this plastic wrap over the rest of the dough so it doesn't dry out too much. All right. Now I have my pasta roller machine right here, as a matter of fact, and it's got a lot of different settings. There's a knob here where I can adjust the different thickness and depths of the pasta. I have a linguine cutter here, an angel cutter here, and this part just comes off really easily. And we're going to deal with that one in just a minute. But first thing we have to do is roll out the flat sheets and get them long and stretched out before we can cut them into any shapes. So I'm going to take some flour and just sprinkle it on my dough. And I want to just kind of flatten it out a little bit. And this is going to help the machine, the rollers in the machine, catch the dough so we can stretch it out and flatten it. So this is like super, super easy. This is probably the most fun part for me, is just watching the dough go from little balls like this into really long stretched out sheets. So I have my crank in right here, the arm for it, and I'm gonna throw just a little bit more flour so that way the dough doesn't stick. So put a narrow side in, and I very slowly start turning. And as I turn, I give just the tiniest little bit of resistance on the dough here on the top so that way it stretches it. Perfect. So here we have a stretched out sheet, and I like having some of the flour on the countertop like this so that way I can go ahead and just kind of brush it into the flour before running it through again. So we're going to keep it on the same setting, and I'm going to run it through again, giving just a little bit more tension to stretch it out even more. Perfect. All right. So it's on a 7 right now. I'm going to knock it down to a 6. And I'm just going to keep going, rolling and stretching until I get the thickness of the dough that I'm ready for, that I want for my specific cut of pasta. Okay, knock it down one more. And I think this is probably going to be the thinnest one that I want to go on because I still want my noodles to be somewhat hearty. Not too thin. All right, look at that. Woo! Beautiful, right? Isn't that cool? I love it. I mean, it goes from this little blob, this tiny little blob, into this beautiful, long, sexy sheet of pasta. I mean, this, I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to go ahead and cut it into my angel hair that I'm looking for. So I'm going to take my attachment and I'm simply going to slide it into the grooves right here, and it sets really, really well, really nicely. I'm going to throw a little flour onto the cutter as well, and I'm going to remove my stick and put it into the correct corresponding pasta cutter. I just want to make sure. There we go. Okay. All right, so in order to make this a little bit easier to work with, I'm going to go ahead and cut it into sheets. So I want to cut it maybe into thirds. I think that'll do. Those are going to be some really nice long strands of spaghetti, of pasta. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut very carefully there, and cut again really carefully right there. And that's going to give me pretty uniform strips of pasta. So I'm going to go in really, really carefully right in here. And as soon as I see the pasta start to grab it, I'm going to start rolling it. And look at this. Look how cool that is. We've got some angel hair pasta working. Look at that. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm going to put some more flour here on my counter and just pinch a little bit more in my hand because I want to sprinkle flour on it as I separate the strands. Look at that. It's beautiful. Beautiful angel hair pasta. All right, so I have 2 more sheets to cut. Here we go. Put that one in here. And watch it come out the other side. So it's really important to go ahead and keep the pasta floured really well, and it's going to keep it from sticking to each other so that way you don't have a great big blob whenever you boil the noodles. Okay, and the last sheet. Here we are. Alrighty. All right, so these are angel hair noodles. I'm gonna go ahead and roll out, flatten out the rest of these pieces of dough and make more pasta like this. Don't go away, we're gonna make it snow. All right, I am rolling out the very last quarter of the dough that we prepared, and look at all of the pasta that we already have. I mean, it's beautiful. I can't wait to get it boiled. I can't wait to eat it. I mean, it only takes literally 2, maybe 3 minutes to boil up, and then it's done. In no time, it's done. Put a little cheese on it, put a little butter. I mean, top it however you like. I actually am going to be serving it with a little bit of shrimp. So that is always delicious. Always, always fun here. All right, yay. So look at this, fresh pasta. Fresh pasta. It doesn't get any fresher than this at all. I mean, this is the best stuff ever, seriously. So we're gonna let this guy kind of chill out a little bit. That's gonna go away. But what I did was I've already planned ahead and I've already got a pot of water boiling right here. So I'm gonna grab my towel and open it up. You can see lovely water. Now you can see lovely water boiling. I'm gonna season the water, salt it very, very generously. And you can see like the bubbles just kind of intensified a little bit whenever I salted the water when I seasoned it. And that's because salt actually raises the boiling point of water. So this was already going, now it's just really well seasoned. We're gonna drop some pasta in there. And the way to do that is by taking a handful of pasta like this and shaking off any excess flour that we have. Whoop. All right, and now I just wanna go ahead and drop it in. Beautiful. Let's see if I can find some tongs here. There we go. I'm going to give it a nice quick little stir. And this will be ready in quite literally 2 to 2.5 minutes. The easiest pasta ever. And then you're going to see. We're going to top it with a little melted butter, a little Parmesan cheese. It's going to be so good. So good. Fresh pasta in no time. Okay, it's been 2.5 minutes, and a really good indicator of when your pasta is ready is whenever it floats to the top. So you can see here it looks kind of like a spider webs of pasta right here at the top, which is perfect. It's exactly what I want. So now I'm going to get a bowl right here, get my little fork, and I also have a small strainer, and this is going to help me scoop out the pasta. So just kind of put it in and bring it all together. Really super easy to get pasta out of the boiling water. All right, move it over to my bowl, just like this. And whatever stragglers are left, I'll just go ahead and scoop those up too. There we go. Shake off the excess, just like that. Let you rest here, and you're gonna cross over here. I have a little bit of melted butter from this bowl. I'm just gonna go ahead and drizzle on. Just like this, lovely. Sprinkle a little bit of Parmesan. Beautiful. A pinch more salt perhaps, just a little tiny bit to finish it off. All right. Beautiful angel hair pasta in no time. This is it. This is the freshest stuff. This is amazing. Oh my God, look at that. You know, like the long noodles that you always get to slurp up? Okay. It's a little longer than I expected, but it's just as delicious as I remember when I was a kid. All right, very easy. Angel hair pasta. Subscribe now to Kitchen Bravo for this recipe, to find out how to make ravioli that we're gonna do, to find out how to make lasagna, anything and everything that you wanna know, especially pasta related. Go to Kitchen Bravo. Look at this. Beautiful.